And welcome everybody to the live Q&A stream. We're doing this just as a value-added service here. If you've got questions, comments, etc., leave them in the chat. And while I do show prep, I will perhaps incorporate those into the daily space weather. So even if you don't view live, leave it anyway, as we do read all comments. And again, we may incorporate something into our next video. Now, we will actually have a second video likely coming out today featuring philosopher Eugene Bagashov. That one's going to be about oligarchies, plutocracies, and corporatocracies. I'm sure many of our viewers are all too familiar with those sort of government models. So that should be an interesting one. And we should have some interesting anecdotes and information about those type of governments. So right now I'm just prepping the daily space weather, and we don't usually put up live streams on YouTube, but occasionally we do. Today, I suppose, we'll include some custom Helio viewer movies, as we've been slacking on that for the last couple of daily space weather videos. We'll show you some solar polar field regions. So just prepping the daily space weather videos now. We're just processing some stuff in Helio viewer and seeing what's going on. Do we have sunspots, etc. As I go backward through my tabs, it's part of the reason for all of those of you who've seen the Sunday backward editions of the daily space weather. It's because I'm doing it without show prep. And it looks like we see 0 sunspots, by the way. So what's going on, everybody? Thanks for the comment, Mr. Keebs. Has the weather cleared up in New Hampshire? And can you see Mount Washington from where you're located? As that's one of the most interesting features in New Hampshire. And I think I'll bring up some fresh tracks here. How about a crowd favorite, Toccata and Fugue in D minor by Johann Sebastian Bach. Yes, I was just telling Smash staff. So anyway, Mr. Keebler says, comment, and he says, a kingdom for a sunspot. Well, we ain't got no sunspots, but on that note, I was telling Smash staff just a little while ago how I've been like, oh, sweet, there's no sunspots. I don't have to make custom Helio viewer movies. Now, by the way, for any of you who've never heard this before, people think this is some kind of horror movie music. It's actually from the Baroque period by Johann Sebastian Bach. And the significance of it is that it was the world's first sound check, perhaps. As the organ is the largest instrument in the world, the largest musical instrument, as part of the instrument is the inside of the building and the structure of the building. So, for instance, the largest organ in the world is the Wanamaker organ in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Some great videos about that on YouTube if you want to check that out. And I'm just looking at the Anderson Cooper anticyclone off the coast of California right now. So we've been naming anticyclones for those of you who are not aware. We've got a bunch of lightning around Lake Superior. We're going to talk about meteorites today on the Daily Space Weather. Keebs, any so Keebs, are you able to see Mount Washington from your location? Because that giant standalone volcanic peaks are what interest me. As I look at volcanodiscovery.com. Oh, we've got some more major earthquakes, folks. So there's another little teaser for you. Some more 6+ magnitude earthquakes coming up on the Daily Space Weather video. We'll talk about it. We'll talk all about it over there. We'll go from over there to over here. We'll talk all about that over there. And we'll advise you not to become the bridge between meteor and meteorite. By the way, the reason Bach had to make this track is because Bach used to be an organ repairman before he wrote most of the Christian hymnal. And in order to be an organ repairman, you have to test out every modality of that organ. So not just each note, but every chord, every progression, because the air column has to vibrate inside of the building in order for the organs. Did you ever notice how organists hold notes a little longer than some other instruments? Well, it's because the air column needs time to vibrate. Because the building itself is part of the instrument. You see the slots in the pipes. The slots in the pipes are where the frequency comes out towards you, but the end of the pipe causes the frequencies to come out, hit the ceiling, and then spill across the room, making an entire crazy network of vibrating air. So the shape of the building is super important, and it affects the tuning of every pipe. And let's just say organs are very, 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 very expensive. Not just to build, but to maintain, because they require all kinds of series of pipes and bellows, and it's quite an instrument. Oh, wow. So you can walk up the mountain and then you can see Mount Washington. That's crazy. Mount Washington is one of the most interesting bike races in the world, by the way, folks. The Mount Washington Hill Climb. One of the hardest bike races in that it's got some incredibly steep grades, especially near the top. And the interesting geographic feature of Mount Washington is that it is a standalone volcanic peak, which that's part of the reason why we've seen such high wind speeds up on top of it, because most large mountains, at least in the East Coast, are associated with other tall peaks. But Mount Washington is kind of the outlier there, as it's just a big cone sticking out of a relatively flat area with much, much lower altitude. So anyway, I'm just going through the tabs here to make sure I'm not caught off guard by anything. And it should be another interesting daily space weather video today. We've got some new movie recommendations that we'll be getting to. And we'll be talking about disinfectants. Have you noticed people using disinfectants? I've got stories. And I won't cover them in the live stream. And the 10.7 centimeter radio flux is gone once again from the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. We'll just show you sunspot number. Oh man. We'll zoom way in on sunspot number. That's all right. All right, so what else is going on? Welcome, Kimberly. What else is going on? What do you want to see covered on the Daily Space Weather? Any brilliant ideas, dumb ideas, mediocre ideas, fascinating ideas, boring ideas? Mentally challenged ideas, perhaps genius ideas. Remember, folks, there are no stupid questions, but there are certainly stupid people. Present company excluded, of course. I guess we'll leave Comet Neowise information up there. That sounds like a good idea. Did you see the latest video from See the Pattern, where he talks about how polarization causes similarly charged particles to stick together at subatomic distances? Something I told him about 10 months ago, and he didn't listen then, and he certainly won't listen now because he's got his head deep in his rectum. It's in his large intestine, folks. It's what prompts him to say things like, "I don't want to talk to you anymore." Which, by the way, the polarization actually debunks a lot of electric universe nonsense. I don't know if you're aware. But here at smAsho, we try to think things through to their logical conclusion instead of having a stupid, pasty look on our faces. Man, what is going on? SciTech Daily. Why do all these websites' mobile version look completely different from their desktop version? It's retarded. I seriously have an article on my phone here about disinfectants, and it's just not on the desktop site. There we go. Oh, it was there. It was there. I just missed it. Anyway, don't get a Darwin Award and misuse disinfectants. It's a terrible, terrible idea. One of the things I like to do when I see somebody using disinfectants is ask them what chemicals they're spraying. And they consistently tell me that they don't know, which is pretty shocking, I'd have to say. We'll also talk about no-knock warrants today. What do you think about that? Have you even heard about this insane idea? I'll just explain this story a little bit.
Yada, yada, yada.
Have you heard your local politician saying
yada, yada, yada?
Too many yadas? Oh, too many stations for germaphobes to pass. All right, so let me read our comments here. Mr. Keebs can see the whole presidential mountain range, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what, I don't know. I'm not that good with geography in New Hampshire. You got to pick your geography battles, folks. Kimberly Eden'll do Nichols says hi. Mr. Keebler says howdy, which, by the way, is a Pete Buttigieg quote. That's how he met his boyfriend, who's now his husband. He knocked on a door. The guy answered, and they both simultaneously said, howdy. And then they argued about whose word howdy is. And now they're together forever. It's so cute. Kimberly Eden'll do Nichols says, too many stations for germaphobes to pass. Glad you cleared that up. Ideas all the time, but blank right now. No, I don't watch him often. I guess referring to Gareth, the pasty goof from See the Pattern. 'Tis fucking cold and people are still nuts. Yeah, still quite nuts. No knock warrant. And she loved the last rundown and yada, yada, yada. It made a lot more sense than the political reports. Ah, cheers, yes. So what else do we have to cover today? Polarized cycling glasses? Nope. How about movie recommendations? We've got a new one. This is a good one. And you're going to have to watch the Daily Space Weather for this because I'm not telling you I'm not telling you. Oh, yeah. Great stories about disinfectants. We're not going to go to cbsnews.com because they really only have one thing to say.
Yada, yada.
And maybe a little bit of
yada, yada, yada.
Some of the triple yada and some of the double yada for sure. What else do we got? NBC News. Anybody got a story they want covered on the daily space weather reports? Experts say a bridge to a vaccine may be a reason for optimism. Here's how it works. According to NBCnews.com, who's famous for saying
yada, yada, yada,
and other epic quotes like
yada, yada.
Let's check out what CNN, the most busted name in news, the Communist News Network, or perhaps the Climate Nonsense Network, has to say. U.S. Attorney requests investigation into masked, camouflaged federal authorities in Portland. Turns out guys wearing full battle regalia are showing up and hurling people into vans, CIA style. What do you think about that? Like, dislike, neutral? People got confused about yesterday's solar event logger, by the way. I'm going to have to retouch on that and explain it maybe a little more in depth because people were absolutely confused. And the conversations in the comments section from yesterday's daily space weather video on YouTube were very silly. I apologize if I confused anybody. It was not intentional. But I will explain it on the daily space weather. And we're almost ready to fire up the live stream on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smAsho. And that'll be the live stream for the daily space weather. And then we'll have to upload it. So if you want to see it live, it's twitch.tv/smAsho for the 90th time. Any other comments, folks? What do we have here? Yada, yada. Yada. Kimberly says she's got to get food, LMAO. She's been unplugging and wandering in the bush. Feels so detached. 'Tis nice. Mr. Keebler says BLM organizer arrested in Conway, New Hampshire yesterday for child endangerment, drugs, and child pornography. Ah, well done. What a revolutionary. Nothing more revolutionary than diddling kids. All right. And the magnetosphere is non-existent. Wow. The weakest magnetosphere ever. Like seriously, it's out of control. This will be the weakest magnetosphere ever reported on the channel. We'll even go so far as to looking at cosmic rays and X-rays. So we'll be looking at photons and protons. Make sure you come back for the daily space weather, folks. We always view the premiere live. As many of our viewers are aware, I'm not only smAsho, I'm also a client. Holy cripes, the solar wind density has been down to 0.1. So it's off those lows a little bit now. But yowzers, have you had your protons today? All right, and we're almost ready to get started here. And I've just deleted one of my layers in HelioViewer, which makes me want to rip my hair out. And it will cause me to take longer to get started with things. Let's see if we have any coronal mass ejections. And repair my HelioViewer settings. Son of a bit turn. Does anybody know what a bit turn is? You've got 5 seconds to respond. Otherwise, I'm going to inform you of what a bit turn is. I'm not exactly sure what time it'll go up. Probably in about 40 minutes, you'll see it live on YouTube. Greetings to Purple Light, who says, good morning from Ma, which I think is Massachusetts. Holla. Holla, East Coast folk. All right, and I'm just going to get back to HelioViewer. I'm just going to fix this one little issue that I've just created for myself here. Going to add a layer. I have to add a layer of SDO AIA 304 with no difference image. And then I got to put the Soho Lasco C3. It's good times. All right, and we are ready to get started here with the live stream. Again, if you want to view it live, it'll be at twitch.tv/smAsho, and soon after that uploaded to YouTube and BitChute, and we will view the live stream on YouTube live with our viewers, as we always do. So since it's a weekend edition, we're not too worried about getting it out super early. So look for us coming back soon. And again, you can leave comments even if you didn't view this live. We may cover them in a later time. And look for another video. Actually, there'll be probably 3 more videos coming out today. The Daily Space Weather, the Smash Lights highlight section, as well as Terms Defined, where we'll be talking about oligarchy, plutocracy, and corporatocracy with Eugene Bagashov. So again, see you soon, and ta-ta.